Admit it, villains are cooler than heroes. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 smartest decisions made by movie villains.
Did you kill Mr. Boz, Miss Trammell?
I'd have to be pretty stupid to write a book about killing and then kill somebody the way I described it in my book. I'd be announcing myself as the killer. I'm not stupid.
Nothing wrong with a man taking pleasure in his work. I won't deny my own personal desire to turn each sin against the sinner.
You know we can't let you do that.
Do that, Rorschach? I'm not a comic book villain. Do you seriously think I'd explain my masterstroke to you if there were even the slightest possibility you could affect the outcome? I triggered it 35 minutes ago.
For this list, we'll be looking at some of the times villains outsmarted everyone else. Since some of these decisions tie into major plot points, a spoiler alert is in order.
If you like what you're hearing, be sure to check out the full song at the link below.
You've been working to pay off your head start.
Number 10. Magneto's Escape, X2, X-Men United.
Mr. Lorio, how long can we keep this up?
How long is your sentence?
Forever.
At the start of this sequel, Magneto is jailed in an elaborate plastic prison in order to prevent him from using his powers to manipulate metal. There's no metal bars, guns, bullets, or handcuffs because all of those things can be controlled by the villain. In order to bust him out, Mystique ingeniously raises the iron level in one of the more gullible guards.
There's something different about him, Mr. Lorio.
Yeah, I was having a good day.
No. No, it's not that.
Sit down.
No.
Sit your ass down.
What could it be?
What are you doing?
When the guard delivers his meal, Magneto immediately senses it, giving us one of the coolest breakout scenes in all of comic book movies, and also showing us just how powerful Magneto is. Number 9. What's in the Box? 7. Towards the end of this thriller, John Doe, the movie's serial killer, surrenders himself.
Detective.
After this, I'm gone.
No big surprise.
This is surprising since he seemed to have been executing his evil plan the whole time without detectives able to do much about it at all. However, getting caught is, of course, part of his plan. During the course of the movie, we learn just how intricate Doe's methods are.
Nothing wrong with a man taking pleasure in his work. I won't deny my own personal desire to turn each sin against the sinner.
He's spent years developing his plan to punish sinners in a manner similar to their sins, and has executed it perfectly. In the end, it feels like the detective didn't have much of a chance at all.
Because I envy your normal life.
Put the gun down, David.
It seems that envy is my sin.
Oh, what's in the box?
Number 8. Lecter's Escape, The Silence of the Lambs.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. You fly back to school now, little starling. Fly, fly, fly.
It seems like evil geniuses can be measured by how incredible their escapes from jail are. By this metric, few can measure up to Hannibal Lecter. Throughout the movie, we learn a lot about Lecter. He's evil, of course, but he's also hyper-observant, patient, and brutally cunning.
You use Evian skin cream. And sometimes you wear lead at home. But not today.
As we watch him sit in stillness, we know that there is a complex plan forming in his mind. He's planning one of cinema's greatest escapes by using the face of a dead guard to sneak out of his prison via ambulance. Lecter puts together an escape so classic that it will inform and influence movie villains for decades to come.
Have the lambs stopped screaming?
Dr. Lecter.
Don't bother with the trace. I won't be on long enough.
Where are you, Dr. Lecter?
It is shocking to see his plan in action. Number 7. Who is Kaiser Soze? The usual suspects. The central question of the movie is, who is Kaiser Soze? As we hear stories about him, he becomes almost like a supernatural being, like a legendary or fictitious figure.
And like that, he's gone. Underground. Nobody's ever seen him since. He becomes a myth, a spook story that criminals tell their kids at night. Rat on your pop, and Kaiser Soze will get you.
No one could possibly live up to his reputation. A lot of the information we get about him is from Verbal Kint, one of the usual suspects.
He lets the last Hungarian go. He waits until his wife and kids are in the ground, and then he goes after the rest of the mob. He kills their kids, he kills their wives, he kills their parents and their parents' friends.
At the end of the movie, when we discover who the real Kaiser Soze is, we realize the depths of his genius. His plan to fabricate the life of a master criminal is so good that it fools even us, the audience. Number 6. That's his daughter, Oldboy. Imagine one day being kidnapped and imprisoned for years with no explanation at all.
뭐 때문에 들어왔는지 그것만 얘기 좀 해줘요. 예? 아니 사람이 알고야 같이 있어야지. 이발 이 2달째 이게 뭐 하는 짓이야? 아저씨 잠깐만 일로 와봐요.
That's what happens to the protagonist of this movie. When he finally escapes, he is bent on finding the person who took his life away from him. This tale of vengeance is horrifying because of how well laid out the villain's plan is.
됐네요, 이제. 복수하고 싶어서가 아니라 왜 그랬는지 알고 싶어서 싸운다고 했죠?
Everything Woo Jin does is controlled.
당신의 진짜 실수는 대답을 못 찾은 게 아니야. 자꾸 틀린 질문만 하니까 맞는 대답이 나올 리가 없잖아.
That's why this film's twist is one of the best in history. The villain manipulates him into unknowingly falling in love with and sleeping with his own daughter.
내가 너희 누이한테 정말 죽을 죄를 졌다. 그리고 너한테도 정말 잘못했다. 그러니까.
Number 5. Ozymandias' plan. Watchmen.
Welcome.
Adrian, we know everything.
Then what's there to discuss, Dan?
If you're a supervillain, you're constantly tugged on by two opposing forces. The first is to execute your evil plan for world domination, extinction, or whatever it is. The second is to brag to your arch-nemesis about just how smart and devious your plan is.
Of course, my moral safeguards gave me pause as a necessary sacrifice. A few key regions around the globe. New York, Los Angeles, Moscow, Hong Kong, disintegrated in an instant.
Ozymandias' plan to unite the world against a greater enemy is intricate on its own, but perhaps the smartest thing he does is execute it before he spills the beans to the two heroes bent on stopping him.
You know we can't let you do that.
Do that, Rorschach? I'm not a comic book villain. Do you seriously think I'd explain my masterstroke to you if there were even the slightest possibility you could affect the outcome? I triggered it 35 minutes ago.
This provides a terrifying moment when we realize that millions have already died by the time the heroes show up. There was nothing they could do about it from the beginning.
Under attack. Millions of lives were suddenly ended in an act of evil perpetrated by Dr. Manhattan himself.
Number 4. I'm Sorry, Dave. 2001, A Space Odyssey. This is the classic dilemma for every supercomputer. A human programs you to carry out a task, but also expects you not to turn evil and kill all humans.
Everything is going extremely well.
Hal, you have an enormous responsibility on this mission. In many ways, perhaps the greatest responsibility of any single mission element. You're the brain and central nervous system of the ship, and your responsibilities include watching over the men in hibernation.
HAL 9000 is a supercomputer designed to operate an exploration vessel sent to investigate a mysterious signal near Jupiter. HAL's dilemma is that he has determined his human crew will impede the mission.
But during the past few weeks, I've wondered whether you might be having some second thoughts about the mission.
To fix this, Hal simply kills most of them in their sleep and traps the last one outside the airlock.
Affirmative, Dave. I read you.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Hal knows how important the mission is and has decided the lives of a few astronauts aren't worth the risk.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
Number 3. Amy's dead. Gone Girl. Sometimes relationships just don't work out. In these situations, it is best to fake your own death in order to frame your husband for your own murder.
Technically missing. Soon to be presumed dead. Gone. And my lazy, lying, cheating, oblivious husband will go to prison for my murder.
It's a perfectly reasonable thing to do, at least in Amy Elliott Dunn's mind. In order to get revenge on her husband for being unfaithful and also making her leave the life she loved in New York, Amy concocts an elaborate plan to frame him for her murder.
He actually expected me to love him unconditionally. Then he dragged me, penniless, to the navel of this great country and found himself a newer, younger, bouncier, cool girl.
At the center of the plan is faking a murder scene, making it appear as though Amy's husband killed her, when in fact she was hiding at a campground.
Just tested it. Fire doesn't erase blood, Nick. So, finally, Nicholas Dunn, you're under arrest for the murder of your wife, Amy Elliott Dunn.
What about my side? Nick!
Number 2. Creating a galactic civil war. Star Wars franchise. Fear is the ally of the Sith. Senator Palpatine, secretly one of the 2 remaining Dark Lords of the Sith, knew he could not defeat the Jedi Order and conquer the United Galactic Republic through sheer brute force and military might.
And as my first act with this new authority, I will create a grand army of the Republic to counter the increasing threats of the Separatists.
To achieve his goal of creating a new Sith Empire, Palpatine manipulated the galaxy into a civil war.
Move against the Jedi first. You will then have no difficulty in taking the Queen to Naboo to sign the treaty.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
He knew that by creating an enemy and threat, the Galactic Senate would willingly and legally give him the power he wanted.
The Republic will be reorganized into the first Galactic Empire for a safe and secure society.
Thus, he played 2 factions against each other and escalated the conflict until the Jedi were all but dead and the galaxy was all but his. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Glass's red herring. Glass. Mr. Glass reveals the truth.
Belief in oneself is contagious. We give each other permission to be superheroes. We will never awaken otherwise.
Fort Knox. Goldfinger. Rather than rob it, Goldfinger wants to irradiate it.
I apologize, Goldfinger. It's an inspired deal. They get what they want, economic chaos in the West, and the value of your gold increases many times.
Provoking his prey. Predator 2. Only the deadliest trophies are worthy. Hobbling. Misery. If he can't walk, then he has to write.
Any for God's...
Shh, darling. Trust me.
God's sake.
It's for the best.
Unstoppable bus. Speed. The bus can't slow down.
Open the doors! 50! Stay above 50! All right?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. The Joker's Switch. The Dark Knight. Although he likens himself to a crazed dog chasing a car, everything about the Joker is premeditated and calculated, from his looks, to his scars, to his plan to defeat Batman.
And why do you want to kill me? I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you? Go back to ripping off mob dealers? No, you complete me.
The Joker's plan is diabolical. He gets caught on purpose, sends Batman to rescue the wrong person, and uses a cell phone to detonate a bomb implanted in a prison. Perhaps the smartest thing he does is tell Batman where Harvey and Rachel are being held. Except he knows Batman will go after Rachel, so he switches their locations.
Don't worry, I'm gonna tell you where they are. Both of them. And that's the point. You'll have to choose. He's at 250 52nd Street, and she's on Avenue X. That's just it.
Batman is able to rescue Harvey, but Rachel dies. All according to plan.
No, not me. Why are you coming for me?
Do you agree with our picks? Let us know in the comments. And hey, if you're a fan of the song playing right now, be sure to check out the music video for it right here.